Hello everyone. Today we're going to be learning how to design 3D printed rubber band car wheels, and even if you want to, the whole rubber band car, so that you can change kind of how the car is shaped for different challenges. So let's get started. We'll click the blue create button, make a new document. I'm going to name this document rubber band car. And like I said, let's start with the wheels, because if that's all you want to make, that's all you want to make, and that's okay. So I can get you rubber band cars for our competition. So click the top plane, click sketch, and type N so we can look right at it. If we want to make a wheel, all we really need are two circles. The first one goes in the middle, and this is going to go on a kebab stick. So I'm going to tell you right now it should be 3.35 millimeters in diameter. That's what our kebab stick is going to poke through. And then I'm going to make another one that's also right from the center. And if this is a front wheel, I'm maybe going to want it 40 millimeters, something like that. And then that's about it. Click the green check mark, click extrude, click the surface you want to extrude. And if you orbit to the side, you can see this is more than we want. So let's make that just 3 millimeters for a front wheel, something like that. And there we go. We have a rubber band car front wheel that will work. But you can make wheels better or worse. So this is a pretty basic wheel, but say we were running on carpet. If we're on carpet, maybe we want some better way for these wheels to grip so they don't slide at all. Let's see how we might do that. If I click on the top plane again, and I make another sketch, and type N to look right at it, maybe I want to do something kind of like this. Escape, and then let's make a 3-point arc that follows. It's not going to snap to it, is it? Well, I can do this. That follows our circle here. If I go coincident, I can click this point right here and that point, and that'll make it exactly what I'm after. So I click the green check mark, click what I want to extrude, click extrude, and I'm going to extrude this the same distance that I did for the wheel. So let's go 3 millimeters, and then I'm going to pattern this around my wheel so I kind of have spikes on my wheel that'll dig into the carpet. Let's see, I want to do a circular pattern, and I don't want to do a part pattern, I want to do a feature pattern because I want to pattern that same extrude that I just did. So I'm going to click extrude. My axis of pattern, I can just click around surface like that, and then I'm going to click reapply features, and that'll work. So you can change how many you want here. Maybe I want 20. Let's see what that looks like. Actually, looks pretty good. Let's see what 10 would look like. Yeah, something like that. So whatever you think, you can make these spikes bigger, smaller, you can make them blocks, whatever shape you think is going to dig into carpet best. Maybe something that's kind of curved and comes back. Anyway, that's one way you can make wheels better. You can make wheels better by making them bigger or smaller. So a wheel that you want to go as fast as possible, you might want to have a little bit smaller because it'll take less to accelerate, and you won't have quite as big of a moment arm that the rubber band has to work against. But if you want it to go really far, maybe you want a bigger wheel, because a bigger wheel, you will get a lot more distance out per revolution of the rubber band. So another thing to think about there. And then the last thing is weight. So the lighter you can make your wheels, probably the further you're going to go, because your car doesn't have to move as much weight to go from one place to another. So once again, if I click the surface I want to sketch on, make a sketch, type N to look right at it, you can add cutouts. And these cutouts can be literally anything you want. Maybe you want circles that are cut out of your wheel. You can pattern these as well so it's nice and even. If I press Control Z, I can get rid of them. Maybe you want squares that are cut out of your wheel. Pretty much anything you want, but a lighter wheel will usually be a faster wheel. So again, I would just click extrude, remove, green check mark. And there we go. My wheel is a little bit lighter now, which means it can probably get up to speed a little bit faster. So yeah, that's about all you really need to know to make a rubber band car wheel. Just get that 3.35 millimeter inner diameter, and then whatever outer diameter you want, however you want to make it grip to the surface you're going to be racing on, whether that's carpet or tile or hardwood floor, anything like that. Because plastic obviously won't grip as well as rubber, and so you need to figure out a way to make it grip whatever surface you're on. But yeah, that's about it for the wheel. So if you also want to make the car, you can adjust the dimensions your car is going to be. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to dimension, or how I'm going to design the car that you guys can use if you don't want to make one. And then if you want to use this same tutorial to make a different car that's bigger or smaller or something like that, then you can do that too. So I'm going to click this plus sign to insert a new part studio, like that, create part studio. And I'm going to right click and rename this car because it's the actual part of the car. I guess I can right click and rename this one wheel as well. I'll say front wheel, because you might want to make a different kind of shape for your rear wheel, because that's where we're actually going to have all the force from the rubber band going through. All right, so if I'm going to make this car, I'm going to click my top plane. I'm going to click sketch, and I'm going to type N so I look right at it. I'm not going to use the regular rectangle. I'm going to use the arrow to the right of it. Click center point rectangle. Click this middle point, make sure it has that orange box around it, and then click literally anywhere you want. So I'm going to click here, and I want it to be just 30 millimeters wide, and I think 140 millimeters long. So I'm going to click the green check mark. I'm going to click that surface, and I'm going to extrude it. And I don't want 25 millimeters. I only want 3. This is going to be pretty skinny. But again, the lighter the car is, the faster the car is probably going to be. So there we go. And then I'm going to click that same surface. I'm going to make another sketch, and I'm going to cut the inside of it out. How I'm going to do this is I'm going to use the offset tool, click all of the different edges, and then drag them to the inside. Now, I just know because I've designed this before, press enter, that you want this to be 2.5 millimeters, because that will still be strong enough to be able to resist the tension of the rubber band, but it'll be nice and light. So I'm going to click the green check mark, and then I'm going to extrude cut the inside of this out. So click, extrude, and remove, and then just green check mark, and it'll cut that right out. And there we go. So next, I want to add my wheel hubs to this. So I'm going to rotate to the side, click the surface I want to sketch on, click sketch, type N, so I'm looking right at it, and I'm going to use this 3-point arc tool. So click anywhere on this line, click, and then I want to drag this so that the dot that you can see right there is directly on the top line, and I know it's going to be there when I get these orange squares. It means it's directly on that line. So I'm going to click, and I want R10. That means a radius of 10. So I have a diameter of 20 on this circle right here. Next, I need to add the hole for my wheel axle. So I'm going to make another circle. And actually what I should do first is make a line that is a construction line. Grab the very center of this, so you can see when I get this orange square, I'm at the very center. So grab the center, straight down, and I'm just going to use this. Click construction again, so you're not making a construction circle, to make my circle definitely in the center of this right here. So click anywhere that isn't highlighted, doesn't give you a highlighted orange square like this. So I'm going to go here, drag out, and I'm going to say we use a straw for the bushing here. So I know that this is exactly supposed to be 6.1, so I'm going to say 6.1. And then the height here needs to be 3.1 millimeters. There we go. And then I'm going to draw a line across the bottom to complete my sketch here. And then I'm going to mirror this across the center line because we made our car symmetrical from front to rear, which makes this a lot easier. So I'm going to click mirror, mirror the line I want to mirror across, and then click all the parts that I want to mirror. There we go. Then the last thing I'm going to do is dimension where this is with respect to the front of the car. So I'm going to click here. I'm going to click this side line, and I'm going to click or type in 5 millimeters. And that'll also make this 5 millimeters away from the back. So click the green check mark, and I'm going to extrude both of these 2.5 millimeters. So there and there. Oh, not the line. There we go. And extrude. And I want the opposite direction, 2.5 millimeters. And see where, there we go, perfect. Switch to add. It used to be saying new. We want to just add to our chassis instead of making a new part. So green check mark. And then I don't have to draw these all over again to make them. I can just mirror them across this right plane right here because you see it goes right down the middle. So I'm going to do that to save me some time. So I'm going to use mirror right here. Entities to mirror, it's not going to be a part, it's going to be a feature. It's going to be that extrusion that we made. So I'm going to click extrude 3 because that's what I want. My mirror plane is going to be the right plane, and I have to click reapply features, otherwise it's going to give me an error. Click the green check mark. All right, so the last thing we have to do is have somewhere on here that the rubber band can actually attach to when it's going to wrap around our axle in the rear of the car. So let's make that next. I'm going to click my top plane, type N, and click sketch. So I can make a new sketch. And for this, for the base of this, I'm only going to need 2 rectangles. So I'm going to click corner rectangle and click one of these sides, make sure it's highlighted orange. Make sure the other side is highlighted orange. That's just going to be 25 millimeters, so I'm going to change this one to 5 millimeters. And I'm going to dimension this so that the bottom here is, let's see what 20 looks like. 20, no, let's see what 10 looks like. 10 millimeters beyond midpoint of the car. I like that. Green check mark. Oh, sorry. Go back into that sketch. We actually need to add one more rectangle, like I was saying. In order to do that, let's make a construction line. Get this orange square, go all the way across, and then I'm going to use this construction line to make sure that my next rectangle, which is going to be a center point rectangle, is exactly in the very center of everything. So there we go. I want this to be 5 millimeters again. I want this to be 30 millimeters this time. There we go. Green check mark. And let's extrude things. There we go. And we could have made that one extrusion by cutting out these lines that make a box right there, but no need. And I want this to also be 3 millimeters, just like the rest of my car. Click the green check mark to add it. And now we're going to use a different feature that OnShape has so that we can make our next sketch a lot easier. So basically what we're going to try and do is add the hooks that will hold on to rubber bands right here. Now normally if I were doing this, I would click here, type N, and try and make a sketch. And I want to get this front edge right here, but from the side, I can't see where that is. It's really difficult. So I'm going to X out of the sketch and show you what's going to make that a lot easier. If I click Shift X, then I can make what's called a section view. I can basically cut all of this along a line temporarily just so I can see what I'm trying to sketch here. So I'm going to click this right here and drag it to where I can see. So there, I can see everything I'm trying to sketch. So I'm going to click the green check mark, and there we go. What we just cut away isn't gone. It wasn't an extrusion. We can get rid of it again by pressing Shift X, but this is just so we can see what we're going to be designing here. So I'm going to click this face. I'm going to click Sketch, and I'm going to type N. And for this one, let's make a corner rectangle, not a center rectangle. Here we go, and grab this point right here and drag it over like that. Now I want this to be 8 millimeters tall, and I want this, well, that's going to change based on what I'm going to do next. So escape, I'm going to type D, so I have my dimension tool up, and I want this to be, let's go with 4 millimeters. How about that? And then the next part is going to be kind of cool for how we figure out how to make hooks out of a box like this. So I'm going to click this corner right here. I'm going to click this edge, and then I'm going to type D and make this 45 degrees. Like that. Now I can pattern this and we'll see what happens next. So if I click my linear pattern button right here, and I click what I want to pattern, and I click a direction, which is just any edge that's going the way I want it to go. Then I can choose which direction it goes. It already is going the way I want to go, so I can just drag this arrow to change where these are. Now I don't want 3 for this, I want 6. And I want to make sure that this point right here at the end is coincident with that right there, and you'll see why. So I'm going to click coincident right here, click that point, click that point. Oh, and it threw an error. I'm going to press Control Z, and let's see what the problem was. I bet it's this. If I get rid of that, let's see what happens next. So I'm going to try coincident again, click here, click there, and there we go. Everything snapped into place. So now, let's see if I can kind of illustrate what I'm getting at here. This is an arrow, a hook that I want. This is a hook that I want. Let's get rid of that. And this is a hook that I want. So if I cut out where all the black lines are, I'll be left with those hooks. So I'm going to press spacebar, so I unselect all that. And I'm going to click the scissors, the trim tool, and get rid of these 2 lines, and get rid of these 2 lines, and get rid of these 2 lines, and get rid of these 2 lines. And there we go. We have 3 hooks. I'm going to click the green check mark, and we're going to extrude these 5 millimeters that way. So I'm going to click extrude. I'm going to click the sketch that I want, and I'm going to say go the other direction because I don't want it that direction. There we go, 5 millimeters, and there we go. We have 3 hooks. So click the green check mark, and now to get rid of this cut that I temporarily put in there, I'm going to click Shift X again, and everything's back. Cool. So this will work as a car as you have it, but we can make everything a little bit smoother with the fillet tool. So the first thing I'm going to do is click these outside edges of my chassis, and I want to get all of them. All these corners. So I guess not all the edges, but all the corners inside and out. There we go. Last one. And I want this to be a 5 millimeter radius. There we go. So a little bit smoother. Green check mark. Let's make another fillet. The next fillet I want is on these edges right here. It's also going to be a 5 millimeter fillet. Let's click there, and there, and there. I'm actually seeing I missed some edges or some corners that I should have gotten, so I'm going to get them now. Click and click. Let's let it load, let it catch up. There we go. And there, and there. So many. But it makes it a lot stronger if we do this. There we go. I'm going to click the green check mark. And there we have that. And then I'm going to just smooth these out a little bit too with the fillet tool. We don't want any sharp edges cutting any rubber bands. So if I click faces, then it will fillet everything around it. I can't do a 5mm fillet because of how small these are, but I can do a 1mm fillet. There we go. And click that edge and click that edge. But this highlights pink, which means that's not going to work. So I got to unselect that edge. And let's see what else I can get just from this fillet here. Looks like OnShape's being a little bit slow. Got to let it catch up with everything we're doing. Fillets can sometimes be a little too computationally intense for OnShape to get quickly. Guess doesn't want me to do any of that right now. There we go. Green check mark. We are almost there. I'm going to make another fillet like I just clicked. That's going to be more. Doesn't want me to get that corner. I can get this corner though. More of these edges. Looks like it was not happy with that line, but we can get these ones. Can't get that one. So I'm going to click it again so I get rid of it. All right, let's try that. Sometimes you have to split up your fillets so that it will actually get them all. Let's see if that works for this. Yep, there we go. And then maybe this. Nope, still doesn't want to do it. That's okay. Doesn't have to be filleted. There we go. And there's your car. Now the really cool thing about this is that based on the way we designed it, you can now change just this one sketch to change all of the dimensions of your car. So right now, if I double click into it, we can see that the base of our car is 140mm long by 30mm wide. What if I wanted a really long car? What if I wanted a 300mm long car? Click the green check mark and everything updates. We still have our wheel hubs on the ends and we still have our rubber band hooks in the middle, and we might want to adjust this back a little bit so that our rubber band isn't super stretched out right from the start, but that'll work. So maybe if you think that longer chassis would be better for, I don't know, speedy takeoff so you don't pop a wheelie, something like that, you could try this. Or if you want to make it wider, we could do the same thing. So if I bring this back to maybe, let's say, 200mm, and then made this also 200mm, we get a box of a car. There we go. Now it's wide. Now, if you were to do this, you might want to add a little bit more reinforcement afterwards because this is going to be pretty flimsy when it's this big with such skinny pieces. But the point is, you can do that if you want to. So, if you made it this far, I'd recommend adjusting the car a little bit because everyone else will be racing with 140mm by 30mm. And you might be able to get your car a little bit faster or run a little bit longer if you change the body to be longer, shorter, wider, anything like that. So, all right, if you made it this far, glad you kept watching. Hopefully you had fun designing your car.